Hey, welcome everybody. I'm your host, Eric Ramirez, and I've got my awesome co-host here, Mando Gomez, for the Tech-Mex podcast. This is season 1, episode 11.
Dude, to be honest, I didn't thought that we would make it, man.
Me too, but I think we're doing all right.
Yeah. There is a stat. I think that I mentioned it to you in the beginning. It's like, hey, we just need to get after 10 episodes because 80% of the podcast, they don't get to this point. So you're welcome.
Hey, you know what? We're beating the odds here. Well, it's exciting for us, but today we've got a few things that we want to talk about. We've got our Tesla updates. We're going to talk a little bit about the Simpsons and some predictions that they've made, and then close it out with a little bit of information about our crypto NFTs. So, let's do it. Dale.
So tell me, what are your Tesla updates?
Well, you know what? I've kind of been saving this up. So, okay, for everybody that knows, I've been talking about the Tesla and things like that. You know what? It's broken. It's broken right now. Dude, bruh, let me tell you, I've had this car for 3-4 months and it's broken already. You know what happened? I got an over-the-air update. And when I woke up the next morning, the GPS didn't work and the cameras wouldn't work. Like, I don't know what happened, but
wait. Do you think that is a user error?
I checked. I said, okay. Well, let me reboot it. Maybe it just, we know how technology goes. Sometimes you just got to reboot. I tried it. It was a no-go, and just like, oh man, this sucks. So anyway, I set up a actually pretty cool. All just through the app, you can set up a service scheduling thing, and they're going to send out a mobile person out to come take a look at the car. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. It was going to be a few days. I'm like, all right, not really a big deal. Well, the day before the mobile person was supposed to come, they're like, this looks a little bit more serious than we thought. You're going to have to bring it in, and the appointment was not for over a month later. So I still haven't taken the car in. Hopefully they give me a loaner, and I'll give you all an update with what happens. But it's kind of, I don't know. Tesla's been around already for like, what, 10 years? We're like, as a real car company, something like that. And you would have thought, they wouldn't be making weird updates like that. I get it. Technology, it's sometimes a little bit unpredictable. We're both from that tech world. We understand, but it's a little annoying. Backing out of the driveway, you can't see anything. Oh, our parking sensors don't work, so we can't tell how far up to park. It's really annoying. The GPS doesn't work, so we can't use a navigation. It's kind of a mess. Once the technology doesn't work, it's like Tesla's kind of sucking right now. I don't know what else to say, but hopefully it gets better. Do have another update also on the Tesla.
Okay, go for it.
Insurance. I've been complaining. I think maybe they're listening to our podcast. What do you think? Did we shared it to Elon? Didn't?
I tweeted to Elon. I tagged him in my X app.
Yeah, well, okay. Elon must have been listening because my insurance rates went down. Actually, my safety score. Okay, maybe I didn't mention this last time, but they actually have a safety score for you and you're driving on your car. So, for us, it's combined with me and my wife, right? Because we both drive the car. And our safety scores, I guess, up to 94. So now our rate's back down to like 170 a month versus the 220 that it was before. And just to give y'all some context, my rate used to be $90 a month. So it's still, almost twice, not quite twice as much as what it was before, but, at least it's not 220. And so, got a little bit of a break there. Honestly, I think it might be related to autopilot. Like if I use autopilot more, my safety score goes down and they charge more on insurance. But autopilot's their product. Why would it do that to me? It doesn't make any sense. So
I don't know, man. You're not convincing me to get a Tesla with all of the drama that you have been going through. I'm in the list. I'm in the queue for the Cybertruck.
Yeah, I know. Oh, speaking of the Cybertruck, though, have you seen any of the posts of new pictures and things like that that's been spotted out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of everywhere. I think that they said that they might be building them in Austin, right? Here in our almost a backyard, right? Like 2 hours away
Yeah,
from Houston.
exactly. Well, you know what? Supposedly, the closer you are to the factory, the sooner you actually get your Cybertruck. That's what the word on the street is. So hopefully that
And
works out
I
in our
wouldn't
favor.
mind to go and pick it up over there. Right? For us, it's like easy peasy. So.
Yeah, that would be really cool. You know, there's a racetrack around there also. I wonder if they would let us take the Cybertruck around the racetrack. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Elon tweeted on. Hey, by the way, do you still call it tweeted? Now it's on X. What do you call that?
Dude,
What's the verb
it's
for that
annoying,
now?
man. It is annoying. Like even the emails that you get is
Mm-hmm.
like formerly Twitter, called Twitter or something like that. Like what the heck?
It's like you gotta explain it for everybody or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. We mentioned it in one of the episodes, right? Like this motion, and I think that he just liked the brand. I mean, he really. Do you remember back in those days when he actually opened the X company and he sold it to PayPal, and
PayPal.
then
Mm-hmm.
PayPal got acquired by eBay. So he actually repurchased that branding. He was able to get it. They didn't disclose the amount, how much he purchased it back. But yeah, he literally got the X.com.
He really likes it. I don't know what to say. Well, Elon recently X'd a post about the Cybertruck. He released a picture of actually, he called it the production candidate. So, I mean, I think that's really good news. I think that means the Cybertruck might be just around the corner, which I think it would be awesome. They even actually, some people like must have zoomed in really close. They were able to see now there's like an extra camera up front, so you can see like really good ahead of you, which I will say it may not sound like a big deal, but right now I don't have cameras on my Tesla, so that's kind of cool. I think that's a big deal, and they have some extra light, the ambient lighting inside. You know, they have the electrical, or I don't know what it's called, the LED wire that goes all the way around inside, makes it look nice and futuristic. So I think it's coming around. I heard they were sending invites to people for an event. There's no date yet or anything. Hey, there's not even a price yet, but I think people are
Yeah, the
still
price
pretty
is the weird
excited
part.
about it. It reminds me of this funny thing. On Reddit, everyone's like obviously super excited, and they're like talking about what place in line they are, blah blah blah. I think I'm still around in the 40,000 range, so I might be pretty close considering we have a Tesla and we're near Austin. That might bump us up a little bit. But it reminded me of this Simpsons episode where Homer was like designing this like really super cool car truck thing, and it was like it ended up being like this big ugly monstrosity. And I'm like, that's kind of like how some people are calling the Cybertruck. Some people love it, some people just absolutely hate it. Where do you fall on that continuum?
But it actually is gonna create a trend. If you go back to like Apple, everything is like a curve and everything is like very like circular, like no lines, right? Like almost very feminine, right? Kind of energy. And these, curves, right? And I think that right now Elon and his designers actually they are going in the masculine portion, which is like you'll see like very lot of lines, right? A lot of like a very aluminum, like no very raw materials, right? Like rubber and like very simple colors. So again, I'm not a designer. I like aesthetics, but I think that that's what it's gonna do. And I start seeing even other companies picking up some of the designs to make them cyber like there is a cyber bike over there. I don't know who makes it, but also they are picking up the kind of
That
a lot of the
aesthetic.
lines, the aesthetic of the very very cyberpunk type of a thing, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's obviously a lot of people that really like it because I think there's millions of reservations, but there's still a lot of people that like to make fun of it. Well, just like in the Simpsons episode, though, like people are like, "Oh, who's gonna buy this big ass ugly car?" And it's $82,000. It's like I think that's how much that Cybertruck might end up costing. So I think that's pretty funny. But
they might they might predict it, man. It's like they have a very good way to predict the future, right?
Yeah, it's so crazy. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But either way, it's coming up soon. So if I do get mine, I'll be sure I'm going to share a lot of photos and stuff like that with the audience. But Well, we'll see what happens.
Let's dive into the Simpsons predicting the future. I remember my daughters when we went to Universal Studios. They were taking pictures, and they were little.
Hmm.
Um, they didn't know the Simpsons, and I was telling them because some of the Simpsons kind of not for very young kids, right? They got
Hmm.
older. They found it on basically on the channels, right, on the TV, and they start watching it. Dude, in like 2 months, they saw like 20 years of
Man,
the
they binged
Simpsons
it.
episode. They binged non-stop, non-stop, right? So then they became fans. And one of the things that they notice is that they are able to remember some of the episodes to when they're predicting the future. And there are
Mm,
many, like from Trump, right? Like you see what happened with Trump, or when you see recently though the submarine, right?
uh-huh.
That it kind of exploded and for the
Yeah.
Titanic, they
Yeah.
also
That was
predicted that
also on
one.
there. Man, they've got a pretty good track record. Well, I saw recently in the news, with all the stuff going on in Hawaii, poor people out there lost a lot of their homes. But I think there was even a Simpsons episode about that where they accept. I guess there's a little conspiracy theory around this is that it was the lasers that did it. But in the Simpsons episode, they were also saying, yeah, there's a whole town got burnt up by lasers, and there was only certain houses that were spared or something like that. So yeah, they're on a roll, I think.
What do you think that it is though? Do you think that it's just coincidence, or
Maybe
do
they're
you think
from
that
the
is some
future.
woo woo?
They're from the future, Mando.
Prophets, maybe prophets.
Hey, they hire well. That's all I can say. I'm not sure. They really understand maybe just the culture of the United States. They're really on the ball with all these predictions. I think they even did a Bitcoin, or maybe it wasn't Bitcoin, but there was like this. I think there was this episode where Marge was trying to like buy some stocks or something like this in a restaurant, and they were pitching it as the price is going to go up to infinity, which is it's kind of like, does that even make sense? But
Sure.
a lot of the people right now for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin proponents are saying kind of a similar type thing, is that Bitcoin's going to go up to infinity, and they say that because of inflation, right? There's no top to what the dollar can be inflated to. So technically, Bitcoin is has a fixed amount, so it can go to infinity. At least the value, it'll keep going up and up and up and up. So they might be onto
And
something there.
as you say, maybe they truly understand very well how society, in this case, American culture, right? And usually TV, music, it's a reflection of the society, because you can see through the years, right, on the Simpsons how they are progressing even with the technology and the gadgets, and some of the gadgets actually they like one of those as well. It was the iPad. There
Mm-hmm.
was no iPads, and they literally they put it there, right? And cell phones. There were no cell phones. They cannot have it as well there. So those were also some of the things that the Simpsons were able to kind of ambitioning or science fiction, right?
Yeah.
Um, very very interesting. All of the aliens. Also, they have the aliens that they were part of the government, right? So
They just got everything. I don't know how they're doing it.
yeah, yeah. So that's what is I'm curious about it, right? Like
Yeah.
those writers when they are thinking, they are trying to predict what is kind of the consequences of different actions of I guess society. But yeah, it piqued my attention, and yeah, my daughters were like, "Hey, why you don't talk about the Simpsons?" Hey, you know what? It's a good topic, like
Yeah.
it always comes up.
They got hooked, I guess. It's pretty good. I always remember the one that where they predicted the tiger attacking the Siegfried and Roy, right?
Man, that was wild too.
It's so crazy. They
A
just
white tiger, right?
exactly. Oh yeah. Well, it brings back lots of memories. I mean, that Simpsons been going on since we were kids, also. So
Dude, I,
it's
I remember my my mom didn't want me to watch it, right? It was kind of almost prohibited, right? Like it was too
Exactly.
in the age, right?
Hmm. It
It's
was.
like, and also, well, in my times, I sound so old.
We're
You didn't
OD.
have a like any of these like online, right? You have to actually wait it one episode per week. I think there was one episode per week in one
Yeah, I think
time,
so.
and then
Hmm.
they start having a couple every
Once they
week.
had like
Yeah, and like
syndication
if
and
you
stuff
miss
like
it,
that,
you
had
miss it.
more. Yeah, you miss it. There was no like. Eventually, there were DVRs and stuff, but yeah, no. Back in the day, back when we were kids, right? You had to be glued to the
Yeah.
TV, otherwise you wouldn't get to see it. But yeah, I remember Eat My
Talking about that
Shorts.
though, do you remember that also they used to tell us you shouldn't be very close to in front of the TV because you're gonna become blind? You remember?
Yeah, I know. Hey, I still don't have glasses or contacts. I don't know. I don't know. They
Dude,
didn't.
I have in the back my VR headset, and it's like, what the heck with this?
It's like right there.
It's like right here. Maybe my kids will become blind.
No, right? Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, but I think that talking about culture and things, I watched the movie, the Barbie movie with the kids. Right,
Oh
I have
yeah,
two
yeah.
daughters, so I took them to the Barbie movie this weekend. I did the whole thing, man. I even put my pink polo.
Nice, nice. It's an event.
Well, it's totally an event, man, and you have to have the picture, with all of the Barbie stuff, and
Did you take your Barbie or your Ken doll?
it's like, no, I have actually a live action one, a
Oh yeah,
Barbie
I
one.
know, right?
So, anyways, going back, have you seen the movie?
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and my wife went to go see it. We were. Uh, I had pink shorts on. I didn't have my pink shirt on. I wasn't gonna go all the way pink shirt, pink shorts, but I had some pink shorts
That's
on.
tacky, man. That's tacky.
Yeah, it clashed. So I was like, no, no,
Just
no, I'm
like
going
that.
that far.
Yeah. So I think that it is it touches couple things, right? First of all, I don't think that was for kids. At least that was my impression. One of the things that I noticed is nostalgia. Man,
Hmm.
nostalgia sells. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
for all of the people that they're like from the 80s, right? It's like 90s, like it's a good trip to memory lane, right?
Yeah.
So all of the different kind of Barbies, even that my wife she used to have, and all of that. She's like, hey, I remember that, and I have these, and so yeah. Uh, but also, I was thinking about the message that it was trying to provide, right?
Hmm.
And I think that here is where diversity on thinking is great. But I also think that it's a very fine kind of dance between what we are trying to explain to the younger generations. It, the message it came across to me, and I want your input here. The message it came like it's like Barbie doesn't need Ken, and Ken was like, what the heck, right? Like what I'm gonna do without Barbie, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was interesting. I know that they are trying to empower. I have two daughters, right? I want them
Hmm.
to be empowered as well, but I also want them to understand if they choose to uh, to have a man, right, like in their lives, that it is not bad to have that masculine energy, right? That masculine force or whatever you want to call it, right?
Hmm.
What's your take there?
Yeah, I think I thought the movie was well done. I mean, I think it was pretty funny. It had some good parts. I I think it's really funny when and spoiler alerts if y'all haven't seen it. We're gonna talk a little bit. I'm talking a little bit about this, but when Ken actually goes with Barbie to the human world, right? And I thought it was so funny that. Barbie was getting like super worried when they were in the real world, but Ken was like, man, this place is awesome. And
Sure.
it's kind of funny, he sees like the men talking in the businesses. They're like, look very important. He sees another guy wearing like this cool fur coat coming out of a store. He's like, I like that look. He ends up taking it back with him in Barbie Land. But I thought it was really interesting, like how they kind of portrayed it. Like for a man, the real world, they don't. There's like this big blind spot to, I think, to a lot of men. Maybe not all men, obviously, but to a lot of men, there's a big blind spot. Like a lot of the things cater to men, and that's just kind of the way things have been built. You know, around them and around that culture and things like that. And he didn't say anything wrong with it, because of course it catered to him, and you know, it was something that he was like, oh man, this place is awesome. And Barbie's just like, what the heck, you know, she was like in the twilight zone. She didn't understand, you know. So I think that was a really interesting way of kind of like posing the whole the whole scenario kind of in a non-threatening way, not super in your face, but kind of in a funny way. So I think it was a good way to bring those subjects up. Now I did hear like some people would go into the movies with their kids, and they would, like, the kids would start crying and things like that. Like, I don't know if it was making them uncomfortable, like the message was too strong, or you know, they didn't want to believe it, or maybe they identified like some of the strong male behaviors. They might see it themselves at home or something, and you know, it was kind of like messing with their worldview. And I think that's kind of what the movie was meant to do, right? Is for you to become a little bit introspective, examine your worldview, does any of this, you know, make sense to you? Like, if it does or doesn't, like, maybe you need to be a little bit more introspective. But I don't know, that's what I took away from it. I thought at least it was entertaining enough, and you know, I wanted to be supportive also. I think it's really important. You know, I've got lots of nieces, so I think it's a good message for them. And of course, they're a little bit younger, so it's not a movie that I don't think they're going to see for a little bit. I think it's catered more towards a little bit older folks, or you know, young adults. But I thought, you know, I liked it. I think it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it opens the dialogue, right? But
Yeah.
I also want to make sure that it is okay to be a man.
No.
It is okay to be masculine, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I was debating with another friend,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, Mando, right now it's a crime to be a man. Like, what the heck, man? it's like that's what it appears, man. It's like everybody gets fucking offended, right, for everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you know what? It's like, and that's I see it. Right? I see it, and that's the reason why I wanted to make sure that to say it. Right? It's okay if you're a man. You're okay. It's okay, Eric, if you want to be a man.
Hey. I'm okay with being a man, but yeah, I think it's true. You know, sometimes it's like a pendulum, right? It swings one way and there's going to swing another, and things hopefully even out. And I think for so long the pendulum was on one side, now it's just kind of swinging the other way. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with like empowering women. You know, one thing that I started thinking about, you know, in watching the movie is like there's certain scenarios of things like that that also apply to being kind of a minority. And there's kind of also that aspect, like a lot of the issues that women have been fighting for in terms of, you know, their civil rights and things like that, a lot of those same things apply to minorities too. So I did identify with certain things there, maybe not in the male female thing, but maybe even just as a minority. So I think there's some equivalencies there that you can take from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did read this book. Are you familiar with the book The Way of the Superior Man?
Haven't heard that
one. It's an interesting book. Has only 4 or 5 stars.
Okay.
so
Mondo's book rating 4 or 5 stars. Book it
for sure. I have a high standard. So. But actually, the author explains it in almost like an energy, that females have a feminine energy, and males, they have it. And no matter if you are like in a couple that you are like a male, female, the balance on that attraction, even from intimacy, is to have that polarity, the masculine and the feminine portions of it. So the author touches different topics, and basically, and that's why you kind of what you're saying, right? The pendulum shifts from one side to another side, and and basically that's kind of the book. The book is like it focuses more like all right, how in some point it was a patriarch, right? And that's the reason why you see all of these movements to be able to get to be equal, right? But the author is saying, well, it's not about to be equal. That's kind of a progression. But the best thing is actually to understand the two, where are they coming from, right? Each of the nuances for the two energies, right? And then at the end of the day, it's just love, right? It's like literally love one another, right? Like even Jesus, right? That was the whole message about when Jesus was to come here, right? So to love one another. So I think that I do recommend the book, right? It kind of rounds a lot of these concepts, um, because as you said, if it swings too much, we still have to come back to the more medium way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's an exact science. So I think there's always going to be instances and scenarios where, the pendulum's still on the other side. And I think it's still hyper local. Like in one place might be super progressive and another place may not, and super conservative or backwards, in some cases. So, I think it's, not there's it's not like we're completely homogenous across the whole US or anything like that. There's pockets of everything. And so I think, it's these are hard kind of topics to talk about because they it can be a little sensitive. But I thought the movie overall was pretty good. I think there's a lot of good movies out actually right now. Have you seen any others?
No, I do want to see the Blue Beetle. You had a chance to watch that one?
Yeah, I actually saw Blue Beetle earlier this week. You know what? I thought it was pretty cool. I've never been into I guess the superhero movies and things like that.
So you don't like Marvel or
I mean,
DC?
it's not like I dislike it. It's just not like something I've like super gone out to go watch. Right? I'll keep up with like the what's the guy that snaps and
Thanos?
everyone disappears. Thanos.
Yes.
I'll keep up with like the big
Dude,
blockbusters and things like that.
there were so many memes, like with the snap of the fingers.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the you got to keep up with culture, right? But oh, by the way, like on that same thought, a lot of people were saying like Barbie was the girl superhero movie. Like they were making or saying like Barbie's a superhero, so it's just another superhero
Dude,
movie where you're defeating the villain, right?
it already made like a 1 billion or something like that already.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it already interestingly enough, made a lot of money already.
Yeah, I think I forget who was saying this, but someone had some commentary on the movie that like Hollywood is taking the wrong message about the success of Barbie. They're saying, "Oh, we should make more toy movies," but but I think he was saying no. It was like there's a movie that had some meaning behind it. Had a message behind it. Those are the movies that we should be making, not necessarily. Yeah. Hey, we should make more toy movies.
It is like sometimes they are missing the point. Like right now, I'm tired. I love the superheroes, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm getting tired of all of these movies that sometimes there's like just doing one and after another one. And it's also weird that Disney is doing all of the live action movies, right? And they're completely sometimes changing even the type of characters. But yeah, let's go back to Blue Beetle. What's your take? I mean,
so Blue Beetle, I really liked it. Like I mentioned, like I haven't really been too big into like a lot of like I had never heard of Blue Beetle before. And for those of y'all that haven't heard about it, it's really more of like a Latino based comic book character, I guess, and maybe is where it started. And so it's really about, and I guess spoiler, it's also here. I'm not going to give too much away, but it centers around the main superhero person. It's a Latino kid, and a big thing that they talk about throughout the movie is like your family, love, like that's a big part of the Latino culture. So I was really excited that they really talked about all of that, and they brought out a couple
wait. Does he gets bitten by a beetle?
Kind of. The beetle like jumps on him. I'm not sure. It was more like a host and a I don't know what you want to call it, but he like grabs on him and he turns into a big beetle. Kind of.
No wonder. Okay.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't see
Exactly.
that coming, by the way.
No, meaning I'm like, if you're gonna be a superhero, why a beetle? Understand? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why you
It,
pick a tiger or something? I don't
it
know
is
why a
always
beetle.
a radioactive animal, right? Like,
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, if you know what, okay, I'm gonna go support. It's a Latino movie, you know. And actually, it had a pretty good cast. They had George Lopez was in there; he had a big part, so that was really good. Also, the kid from Cobra Kai on Netflix,
yes,
the Hispanic kid.
the Hispanic kid, yeah.
His name's like Cholo something or other. It's like XOLO. At first, I thought that was his nickname, but I think that's his real his real name. I'm like, oh man, it's
Maybe
interesting name.
it might be hard to pronounce that because it sounds like maybe I'm curious now because it should be like a Sholo, like
Oh yeah,
if it
Cholo. I don't know. It's just
yeah.
I call it Cholo. Like that's what I am like. Man, he's from LA. He's a Cholo. You know, like yeah,
It's
that's
like
cool
ese.
name. Yeah, and so I looked it up and like, oh no, it's with an X. It's an XO. It's like okay, wrong Cholo.
Ron Cholo, yeah.
But anyways, yeah, they had a couple of good. They had actual famous, well-known people in the movie, so that's good. And I thought it had a good message and things like that. It was really cool. It had lots of Mexican references, like Chapulín Colorado, Maria del Barrio. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Mexico,
Yeah.
so those were always right. Like they use El Chapulín, Colorado. It's they have a bunch of different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a series. It's like the equivalent of Friends in Mexico, or like a sitcom, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
literally a sitcom, and the Chapulín Colorado. It was this guy that they call him Chespirito,
Mm-hmm.
and actually his name is because he liked to write, and he was like a little Shakespeare, hence the name
Uh,
Chespirito. Uh-huh.
Shakespeare.
Then the other interesting thing about him is that he liked his characters to have the ch, the cha, like
Mm.
Chavo del Ocho, which is one like a teenager, right? Or Chapulín, which is kind of like a lame superhero, right? So, but again, is one of the folklore and the culture of Mexico, maybe in the 70s, something like that, and
Oh,
they play it every week, man. Like I was at the
yeah.
filler for like Friends right now. That if they don't have anything, they just throw an episode
It's
of
like
Friends
nonstop.
for it.
That's right. Oh, I remember that
Mm,
stuff growing up. Same thing with like Sábado Gigante. Same thing. That they made a couple of
yes.
references there too.
And Maria la del Barrio is this lady called Talia. Talia is like a singer that she
Hmm.
became very famous as well because of the soap operas, like the
Hmm.
Mexican soap operas, and that one is literally your typical uh, person that is just like literally from the hood, right? And she becomes a millionaire, right? Again,
Yeah.
it's like typical story, soap
Uh,
opera. But yeah, those are the main stories for that, and I'm surprised that they added it into the movie.
it's actually pretty funny, and they actually allude to it a little bit more because of course, boy finds girl, they fall in love type of thing in the movie. So there's a little bit about that, except this time, he's the poor kid, he's the poor Mexican kid, but there's kind of a rich girl that are kind of talking to each other. So
Do they
they
play any lucha libre?
no lucha libre. No, there's no lucha libre, but there's some pretty good fighting scenes. So I think it was pretty good. A little cheesy, I would say, but I think that's from what I understood in the movie. That's kind of the I guess the style that
The
this Blue
personality.
Beetle had. That the Blue Beetle had, even when it was like just a comic or something like that. It was kind of cheesy in that way. At least that's what I took from it. But I recommend go watch it. I think both of these movies, Barbie and the Blue Beetle, were pretty good. So.
Do you had a chance to see the latest Spider-Man like a couple months ago?
I think I did. Which one was it? I mean, there's so many,
Um,
and I watch them all out of order.
no, but this one is the cartoon one. The
Oh, the
in the Spider
Miles
Verse, Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. Yeah, I don't think I saw that one. Not the cartoon one, but I think I
Um,
did see Into this. No, Homecoming, maybe. I don't remember.
no, no, no. This one is the cartoon ones, better
Mm-hmm.
than the Homecoming or the live action ones, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Um, I do enjoy the kind of the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has that feeling, like literally the technology that they're using. It kind of almost, if you will stop the scene, you'll see almost like a comic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they literally almost painted frame by frame, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
latest one, I can tell that they were using AI. Like there
Oh,
is a
really?
lot of because there is a lot of the uh, different technology. Uh, there is something that kind of bothers me, and I'm seeing on the trend, which is a little bit blurry, and I don't like that. I prefer a little bit more crisp, to be crisp.
It's not your
But that
eyesight.
is not my eyesight.
Ask your
the,
kids if they see it blurry.
which they're getting used to though, because the Ninja Turtles,
Uh-huh.
I also saw it a couple of weeks ago, and
That
they
one's on my
have this,
list.
and they have the same effect. And man, another spoiler alert, kind of suck that they are removing some of the characters, like weird. It's just weird. So that was a bummer too.
Who was
Uh,
your favorite Ninja Turtle?
which guess which one?
Uh, Leonardo?
It's hard. Look, it depends on my mood. It was depending on my mood.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know.
I do like the uh kind of the craziness of the Mike,
Michelangelo?
right?
Yeah.
Michelangelo, right? So I do like that, but I also like the uh kind of the leadership portion, right, of the as well of the other ones, right? So anyways, but yeah, i- the way that they did it, they had a good chance, right? I mean, people
Hmm.
love the brand, and even Splinter, right?
The rat.
Uh, the rat, man, it's like you'll see it when you see it, you know.
I'll watch it next week. Or
Yeah,
no, in
watch
two
it.
weeks.
But going back to the Spider-Man, that one is a good one, and on the effects for the AI and the story. But what I'm trying to say here is that they kind of also make it. He's a little bit Hispanic. It's a mix.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a kind of Puerto Rican, right? So, which is
Ah,
also
okay.
a kind of a Latino type of superhero, right? But yeah, take a look. That one you might like it. If you
Okay.
like that one, you might like that one too.
Yeah. On the Blue Beetle one, actually, like half the movie was in Spanish, actually. There was a lot of
Did it
subtitles.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of, there's, of course, I mean, it's like English, Spanish, Spanglish. It was all kind of a mix back and forth throughout the whole thing. Of course, for me, I didn't even really realize it until halfway through the movie. I'm like, hey man, they're talking a lot of Spanish because obviously I understand it very well, so it's not an issue. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. I liked it. I thought they did it really well. Yeah.
Hmm. Good to know. You know, I think that maybe this is something that we can discuss about NFTs though,
Uh,
because a lot of these movies and fashion and kind of like as we mentioned, is kind of reflection of the society.
mm-hmm.
I really think that NFTs is gonna keep evolving to be able to have ownership.
Yeah.
But before we go there, because I think that we need to expand these things. Have you heard that before, like the Web 1.0, Web 2.0?
Yeah.
Um, so right now, the people that the thinkers that they are behind crypto, they're trying to explain that maybe Web 1.0, it was about reading, to be able to read the internet. And I do
Mm-hmm.
remember, like maybe 20 years ago, you literally will go to internet and you just will literally read, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You got your GeoCities website up there. Is that 2.0 or 1.0?
so, well, the 2.0 is like what we know right now, right? Like
Okay.
even TikTok and X, Twitter, right? All of that.
Uh,
It is actually the Facebook, right? The foundation of Web 2.0, which is like read and write, right? You literally go into internet and read and write. But the new kind of the wave for the last couple years is basically building the Web 3.0, which is basically it's about ownership. And the reason why it's about ownership is because there's this technology that was kind of brought up with Bitcoin, which is the blockchain, and that's kind of uh, the different chain of ownership. So, uh, what was your take there on that progression?
Um, when I saw NFTs, I think actually, like I went to a hackathon in Las Vegas that Mastercard was putting on, and actually we did I went with James and Lee, right? We went over to this hackathon, and it was pretty interesting because MasterCard was, I think, obviously trying to get into the whole blockchain kind of technology, seeing what they get on, they could do. And the reason I like that hackathon, it was called Hacker Money 2020. I'm like, yeah, Money 20. That sounds cool. Yeah, Hacker 2020 Money or something. I'm like, man,
So that was
we should win this thing
before COVID or during
Oh
COVID?
yeah. We did this maybe in 2014, 2015. I don't remember
It's because
anymore.
you say 2020.
Yeah, exactly. It was not 2020 the year. It was just I don't know why they called it that, but I'll wear my shirt maybe one of these days. It's a cool shirt. It says hacker across the front. It's kind of neat. But anyways, we actually what we did was this is before all the big NFT hype that was going on, right? Back at I think it was like 15, I don't remember, 15, 16, one of those years. Anyways, we created an NFT platform. That was our project that we created within the hackathon. Man, that thing was brutal. It was like 2 days. It was like nonstop. So we were like in a big conference room at the Venetian, I think it was. Yeah, the Venetian, and just a bunch of tables, a bunch of nerds on these at these tables. We're staying up all night. Like people were sleeping in sleeping bags and stuff like that, just like hacking away. We ended up losing, but actually, I mean, MasterCard didn't know what they were doing, obviously, because we created a big NFT platform, and that's what we did. And the use case maybe was not what they were looking for, but our use case was for video game characters. You can create digital items and be able to buy and sell them within a digital platform like for a video game. So you can make a unique thing that only one person can have and can't be duplicated. At least that was the thought behind it. And we built a vault to hold these digital items, these digital blockchain items. And you can we built a platform so you could buy, sell, trade, things like that, and use it for different things. So MasterCard's loss, I guess. They could have been in on the ground zero, but I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of those things that techies can see some of the trends, and eventually somebody kind of grabs the idea and takes it to the end, right? To the finish line. Just for people to kind of know, a lot of the technology on the NFT, an NFT stands for a non-fungible token, and it is powered by the network Ethereum. And Ethereum, I'll say that you have these two major kind of technologies, right? We have Bitcoin, right? That was kind of the novel idea back in 2009, and then it started just ramping up in different years, and that was kind of done by Satoshi Nakamoto. They don't know if it's a person or a group, but one that in this case for Ethereum, they will know, which is Vitalik Buterin, and there are certain things how they were designing the algorithm for that crypto, right? For Ethereum. So, are you familiar that he was part of the Thiel Foundation? That is the Thiel Fellowship. That's the name.
Okay. Vitalik was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Peter Thiel, the story is very interesting. And do you know the story? I can tell you the story about him. So between him and Elon, they actually go back. Peter Thiel and Elon, they were in X and then PayPal, right? So there is this group of people that they became the PayPal mafia, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically some of the founders of a lot of the companies that we all use and know. The founder of YouTube, Elon Musk, which is now owner of X and Twitter and Tesla and so on. You have Peter Thiel, Palantir, and also he was one of the first big investors for Facebook. So a lot of people, and LinkedIn as well. They basically one of the founders for that. So eh, and they call them the PayPal mafia, and there's like 20 people in that group. And Peter Thiel, he basically said a few years back, you know what? I think that college is stupid, and I'm going to just provide 100K. It's gonna be like a grant, and he's like literally, I'm just because and I think that in his website has something like because some ideas cannot wait like 2 years, just start it now, right? And that's
Yeah.
kind of the whole thing, dude. He has a good amount of people that they came out of the Thiel Fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
and basically Ethereum came out of that. They literally funded by this guy, right? So
Mm.
uh, a lot of interesting things that sometimes you can see the trail of the money.
Yeah. And in some ways I think a lot of times the reason they become successful is because they came out of those things. I think there's maybe this self-fulfilling hype
Hmm.
or self-fulfilling prophecy, because
Prophecy, I guess.
that's kind of the expectation of something that comes out of there. Because we've seen a lot of these things that technologies, like I said, like we had this technology of NFTs before the bored apes came out, and the
Yeah.
whatever, the crypto punks and all that. Year like 8 years, I guess, before it even became popular. That's when we were looking and building these technologies. Same thing with our Hydrix thing. Google. Well, actually, they just shut it down, so maybe it's a good thing we didn't do it. But Hydrix was our web based video game
Hmm.
project. Remember that one? So
Yep.
we were kind of ahead of the curve on that too. We were building that. So I think it really does sometimes depend. Well, you got to have the money, to do some of these things. That's why our Kickstarter didn't end up getting off the ground for that. But
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
I
part of
think
it.
for sure, I think that it helps. It kind of gives you a platform, and you have these backers, right? Like they are well known, and they're in Silicon Valley, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
for the case of the NFTs, though, just for the audience, it is an interesting way of thinking, because some people they are completely against it, because they say, "Hey, I can copy your image," and sure, you can copy the image, but it's like you can have a photograph of the Mona
The,
Lisa, but
the
it's
Mona
not.
Lisa. Yeah.
It is not the Mona Lisa, right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
here with an NFT, you have your address, your wallet, right? And then people can verify that you truly own it, and you can transfer it, and you can sell it. But there are things that are more cool than NFTs. You actually can, because you can create a program, which is a contract. They call them smart contracts, that you can actually be able to have royalties, and you can split it in many ways, right? So if you want maybe a piece of the royalty to go to your mom, a piece of royalty to you go to your friends, and at the end of the day, maybe it's a 10% of the whole transaction. Again, you can program everything because everything is on the chain, and there are a lot of different neat things that you can do with the smart contracts, which I think that that's what is going to allow to kind of like the idea that you guys were thinking on the assets for games. We start seeing it with Axie. There is a game that is called Axie Infinity, that they are
Mm-hmm.
providing some assets with some capabilities embedded on the NFT. So yeah, people might think that is just a stupid image, but there is a lot of technology behind it, and the ownership. You can claim the ownership of that NFT, which you cannot copy.
Mm-hmm. When the NFTs really started taking off, I debated, like, should I buy that? I don't know. I took the route, maybe instead of like buying it and investing like in these NFTs, I wanted to create an NFT. Um, I think by the time I wanted to make a 3D version of my dog and make it into an NFT, kind of like a bored apes, because I was going to do
Hmm.
it for Italian Greyhounds. That's the breed of dog that I have. by the time I finished like my first one, that's when we started seeing a lot of the like the mid journeys and stuff like that come out. Where I'm like, man, I'll just do it on mid journey, and then like all the NFTs started like plunging in values. I'm like, okay, we dropped. So I was like, okay, I'm not getting into that anymore. But did they
I
ever
think that there
recover?
is
Actually, did they?
no. I mean, like anything else, right? Like some they still have value and some they lost.
Yeah.
There are some that they are very nostalgic, right? Like the CryptoPunks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bored Apes, they still have some value. Um, I think that some of those might continue, right? But yeah, it is very hard. It's like because right now with the technology, as you said, it's very hard to compete sometimes with the AI.
Yeah.
And before it used to be very hard because the artists had to actually do 1,000 different ways of the image, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now with AI, you can do it like in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That their hurdle is not that high anymore. You can kind of easily get into it. But by the way, I know you're a big fan of Coca Cola. I think I see it in your background still. Coca Cola came out with an NFT.
Mm.
Have you heard about that?
I no, and I haven't.
Well, maybe you should get one since I know you're a big fan of it. But they released like I forget what like the match. They call it the Coca Cola Masterpiece NFT. Anything Coca Cola does is going to be a masterpiece, right? But anyways,
Dude,
they got that out there.
if I caught myself, probably there's Coca Cola on my blood, man.
Yeah, you got that thick syrup flowing through your veins.
Yes, it's one of those things. I told you the story, right? Like my mom gave me Coca Cola in my bottle.
Yeah. Hey, that's how they get you. They start you off when you're a baby.
Like it's okay. It's like if Warren Buffett is still kicking uh,
Hey, man.
by
You know
drinking. I
what?
think that he drinks Coca Cola too, right? He's a big
Yeah, that's one of his
investor of Coca Cola.
McDonald's and Coke. I think that's his diet.
Yeah, so like the old man has good genetics there, man.
Yeah, for sure. I know it. Well, either way. Well, speaking of PayPal, also, I think they're starting to also get into the crypto game. So I think they're gonna come out with a stable coin. Actually, do you want to explain what a stable coin is for like the audience?
Yeah, listen, crypto fluctuates a lot in value, but then you need sometimes to be able to transfer money, right, one place to another place. Think about like a Western Union that you needed to put some money. But the beauty of doing this is that it's automatic. So they have to transition the money from Bitcoin to an stable coin, which usually is pegged to a dollar. Then you have like literally if you transform the your money, it's like a like a fiat conversion, but in this case it's from Bitcoin or Ethereum, any other crypto, into a currency that is stable, which it maybe might be pegged to a fiat. Fiat is the name that they use it for like a dollar.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, in any case, there's a few popular stable coins like USDT, USDC, whatever, a couple of others. But now PayPal is saying that they're going to make their own stable coin. And I think the reason it's kind of a big deal is because PayPal has a lot of customers. So if these customers start using that as, part of their transactions for crypto, things like that, they've got a big user base. That's going to be over 400 million active accounts. So I
I
think
think
that's
that
going to be
is
pretty big for them.
I think that is tough though because maybe a lot of this technology people don't care. They will use them, right? Like
Yeah.
right now, we know that we are using TCP, HTTP, right, internally, and people don't
Hmm.
care, right?
People
So I
don't
think that
care. Yeah.
maybe they're gonna be behind the scenes, and actually Reddit did it. They
Hmm.
actually start putting on the avatars. They
Hmm.
start creating NFTs, and they was giving them away to everyone. So literally, they created millions and minted millions of NFTs, but people didn't know that they actually were NFTs. They just had their avatars. So I think that maybe PayPal will do this, and people will not realize that they are using internally the stable coin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I guess PayPal's been kind of on a run lately because they also announced a new partnership, I think, with Ledger, so that they could buy directly using PayPal. I think through your Ledger. So if you're, well, I guess for those that aren't too familiar with what a Ledger is, like today, if you buy Bitcoin, you can go buy Bitcoin like on Coinbase, and Coinbase will have your wallet that holds basically your Bitcoin on Coinbase.com. Now we all know that not your keys, not your coins. So like if someone else is holding your Bitcoin for you, like let's say Coinbase, they basically have ownership of it. And if that Coinbase ever went down, kind of like FTX or Celsius or FTX, whatever,
Happens.
yeah, you're gonna lose it. I mean, Mondo, you were part of that, one of the very first ones too.
The
So
first ones, one of the biggest one. In that time, it was almost 80% of all of the bitcoins there was in an exchange, right? And
yeah,
which many years ago.
you got goxed. That's where that term came from. MT gox, yeah. So that's where that all of these companies going bankrupt, things like that. They take your crypto with them. So, anyways, Ledger is basically a way for you to hold your own crypto on your own device, and it looks like a USB key, but it holds your keys or your password to your Bitcoin, and that way you don't have to rely on a Coinbase or an FTX or a Celsius to hold your wallet or hold your Bitcoin or your crypto. But anyway, so now there's usually when you're buying it, you got to go to Coinbase, you buy through Coinbase or some other marketplace, and then you got to transfer your crypto into your ledger, and then there's a fee for that and things like that. So there's kind of some friction to buy and get and to store on your own ledger. So I think that's a pretty good deal now. PayPal supposedly I haven't tried it yet, but PayPal will allow you to, I guess, directly get crypto onto your ledger, so you don't have to do that whole sending back and forth between different places.
One of the issues though is the limit. Sometimes they use like even Cash App, they allow you, but they were very low.
Big money, Mondo.
It's not big money. It's like $200, right?
Okay, all right. Okay, small money, Mondo.
That's right. So no, but usually they have limits, right? And that's what and also the fees. That you have to watch the fees and the conversion rates as well. So pay attention to that, because some people, some of my friends, they are doing DCA, and basically that technique is to just keep buying, right, a chunk, kind of to, sometimes you don't know if it's going to be up, or sometimes you don't know if it's going to be down. As might as well just keep buying it in a specific time. Some people do it every week, some other people do it every month. But they try to do that technique.
Yeah. By the way, DCA is dollar cost averaging, for those that aren't familiar with it. So it's just a strategy of being able to build up the amount of Bitcoin or crypto or whatever it is that you're buying by doing regular, periodic, planned purchases of that. So over time, if you hodl, you're going to be able to have a big stack of crypto there.
If you have diamond hands. Do you want to explain what are diamond?
Diamond hands is like when you do not sell, even though like there's an 80% drop. Which is, I will tell you, because we've been there like several times. It's hard. You're like, oh crap, I just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but no, it'll come back up. You're good.
Diamond hands. And by the way, these terms, they came out from a subreddit, Wall Street Bets. And there is kind of the lingo, right? Diamond hands. Then there's what was the other one?
Hodl.
Hodl, yeah. It's like and it came from as well part of the some of the Game of Thrones / just with hodlers, right? With the Bitcoiners, and so I do recommend that subreddit. So take a look. There is a crazy shit in that subreddit.
Yeah, it's always a good time. Well, I think we're wrapping up for today. By the way, if y'all were following and y'all saw that there was this $3 billion purchaser of Bitcoin out there, everyone thought it was BlackRock, but I think the news came out recently that it's actually Robinhood. So, hey, Robinhood's trying to make a play, trying to compete with PayPal, I think. So, anyways, keep an eye out. I know BlackRock is probably trying to drive the price down so they get some cheap Bitcoin. Hey, don't give your cheap Bitcoin to the whales. Hold on to it, hodl it, have those diamond hands. Any other closing thoughts, Mando, before we go?
Yeah, we're not financial advisors. We we are just two dudes in the internet. Don't listen to Ramirez.
Thank you for the PSA public service announcement there, Mando. Well, if you like our content, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on us. Also, share this with your friends if you think it's worthwhile. We also now have a TikTok account, so you might look for us there. I think it's Tech-Mex Podcast if you want to look us up.
Yeah, and if you like, Ramirez will dance.
I'll dance. I'll do it. So the more you like, the more I'll dance. What are you going to do, Mando?
Good one.
Okay,
I'm just gonna watch you, man.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll do that, and I'll do it with Sin Miedo. Okay. Y'all have a good one, y'all.
Sin miedo. Cheers.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.